Hi Whovians, Harry here, and Doctor Who Season 1, I think we can all admit, was a bit underwhelming. It was the best Doctor Who season that we've had in years, but it could have been better. And this video is going to go over a slight rework of Season 1 of Doctor Who. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get in to the video. So, I just want to set up a couple of ground rules. I am not going to be remaking whole episodes because I don't like it when fans say that they can do better than like actual teams that work on like in TV or on movies. I definitely, if I was set as showrunner or writer or something of Doctor Who, I would probably completely mess it up. So I'm not going to be actually remaking episodes. I'm going to keep the episodes as close to what they are originally, but I am going to be going over a couple of ways I think they can be better, a couple of little changes in character, and also the main thing I'm going to be doing is basically saying what episodes I think deserve it in which slot, because I think just moving a couple of episodes around would make the season a lot better. So, without all out the way, the Christmas special, of course, would still have to be the Church on Ruby Road. Of course, it sets up the Doctor and Ruby pretty well, and it has everything to do with Christmas and stuff, and it just makes sense for it to be the Christmas special still. And then, following on from that, episode 1 would still be Space Babies. I think sticking as close to the episodes as they are normally, I can't really put any other episode as number 1 apart from Space Babies. And it is an alright episode 1. I know it's a bit silly, but it does the job it's really supposed to do. Just be the first step into a new world, a new worldview for the companion being Ruby. However, now actually getting into moving the episodes around, I think episode 2 should be Boom. And the reason why I think Boom should be episode 2 is that not only is Boom like widely regarded as one of the best episodes in season 1, I think across the board, it is not divisive like The Devil's Chord or 73 Yards. There is a good through line throughout the whole episode, unlike Rogue. So I think Boom being a good episode that a lot of people will agree on it being good makes sense it being an earlier episode rather than being hit with almost the 1-2 punch of Space Babies and The Devil's Chord. But moving past Boom just being a good episode, it would mean that the Doctor actually gets his I am the Doctor moment slightly earlier than in actual, like, season 1. If you don't know really what I'm talking about, go and check out my review of the whole of season 1, which I will link up in the cards above. So check that out if you haven't already, because I go into more in depth about every single episode, and you'll kind of know more what I'm talking about when I'm talking about certain moments in this rework of season 1. But I think with his Doctor, with Ncuti's Doctor getting his I am the Doctor moment, also Boom generally being a better episode, also Ruby seeing an alien world in her second episode, and with Boom being a more generic Doctor Who story, and just having that ground footing for new viewers, I think would be good with Boom being a second episode with all the things that I just mentioned. And for episode 3, it might be a sort of wildcard choice, but I would actually go with Dot and Bubble. Because, I mean, I think it would be pretty good to have Dot and Bubble as the third episode. However, I do think it needs more reworking than The Church on Ruby Road, Space Babies and Boom, because I think there needs to be a bit more changed. Like, I want the Doctor and Ruby to actually be in the episode more. That is the main thing. I want them to actually manage to break into Fine Time and, like, shut down the charging station so that the Dots, like get turned off, and then we actually see the Doctor and Ruby trying to save more people in Fine Time than just Lindy, because it seemed like people like Lindy was the only person that picked up to Ruby that they tried. And I mean, I think like other people in Fine Time, I know that they're all like racist in that society, but Gothic Paul was concerned with all the people going missing, so I think that he would at least listen to Ruby. So I want something more about that. And also, without the dot and bubble, these people would be able to see the man traps, and maybe they would trust the Doctor more, and he'd be able to get more people out, save more people. And of course, as I said, with the Doctor and Ruby not being stuck outside of Fine Time, we get more of them in the episode. So I think if they just manage to break into Fine Time, it will make the episode a whole lot better. And also we can still have the shock twist ending of the whole of Fine Time being racist, that whole society being revealed to be racists. And it doesn't even need to change that much. I mean, send Ruby out to do most of the search and rescue, and have her like convince the Fine Time residents that the Doctor is not behind this, but he can help them escape, in a similar way that she did when explaining it to Lindsay just through the dot and bubble, but this time it would be in person. Yeah, it would be maybe a bit harder to do, but I still think that it is doable. And also, again, we can still have the shock twist ending, which I think many people think is the best part of the episode, and I agree. So Dot and Bubble would just be a whole lot better with more Doctor and Ruby, and making it the third episode would need more Doctor and Ruby. But then, with the third episode, of course, being Dot and Bubble, I think episode 4 needs to be a palate cleanser episode, and I suggest Rogue as the fourth episode. Yes, I think Rogue is a pretty good episode, and really, I think it should have been earlier. It's a bit of a shock to jump from Rogue into The Legend of Ruby Sunday, and I think placing it like mid-season is a great way. And spoiler alert, the next episode is going to be 73 yards, but to have Rogue as a palate cleanser between the shock twist ending of Dot and Bubble and the complicated horror elements of 73 yards, I think Rogue would be perfect in between those two episodes to just split it up and give the audience a bit of a reprieve, a bit of a lighter episode. And not much about Rogue would even have to change. And then, of course, as I mentioned, episode 5 would be 73 yards. And really, I want 73 yards to just be less complicated, or answer any questions about what was brought up in that episode. Just any of them. Because, to me, it seems like 73 yards was just going for media engagement and people speculating about what the ending could mean. Whereas Midnight and Heaven Sent, they actually had a good plot behind them. And even though there were things unexplained, like the Midnight entity and how the Doctor even, like, what the concept really of Heaven Sent was, there was things behind it, like the Doctor's grief, not like the Doctor having to control his grief and find his way back to home in Heaven Sent, and also Midnight, was about human nature and how they can turn on people when something unexplained turns up. However, 73 yards seems to have no backbone behind it. It is just going for confusion, and throwing all these questions at you without any possibility that there would be answers given. And it just making it less complicated or answering any of those questions will make the episode a whole lot better. And the reason why I think 73 Yards should be the 6th episode or the 5th episode of Season 1 is that it has a lot more ties to the finale than first realised. so having it at a slot closer to the finale would make it a lot better. And the only drawback I can really find is that Ruby would not come into her own until like 7 episodes into her run. But I think the positives of it being closer to the series finale and it connecting into the series finale a lot more than any other episode would make it a lot better than having the drawback of Ruby not really coming into her own until 7 episodes in. Again, it's not perfect, but it's the best. But the last episode in the season before the season finale should be The Devil's Chord, because it just reminds the audience that gods are now in this universe before we'll see the big bad god of death Sutek in the finale. And it just creates a good sense of cohesion to go from god to god, to set up that the Doctor is getting more out of his depth than just having Maestro pushed right at the start of the series to throw off new viewers. But having Maestro at the end of the series creates the strength of gods, and the Doctor is having to deal with bigger and badder foes every week. And also, Maestro says that the one who waits is almost here, just before they are defeated, which makes a lot more sense if this episode comes just before the 2-part finale, because that line is referencing that Sutek is coming. And if it was the episode before the Legend of Ruby Sunday, it would make sense a lot more, because Sutek would be in the very next episode, rather than Maestro just saying the one who waits is almost here, and then us having to wait 6 episodes to even just see Sutek. And also, I do feel like there needs to be an explanation to the musical number, because Russell T Davies actually did write 20 seconds of dialogue explaining why they started singing and dancing at the end of The Devil's Chord, because music was flooding back into the world. And I think they should have kept that, at least in the way that they did their episodes, but explain it, or either do not explain it and the Doctor arrives at unit at the start of The Legend of Ruby Sunday because he is worried about Maestro and why everyone was suddenly singing and dancing at the end of that episode. Put that in there, because it makes a lot more cohesion in the episodes to have, like, the Doctor worrying about something in The Devil's Chord and thinking that he needs some help, so then he turns up next time in Unit HQ at the start of the next episode. It creates a lot better cohesion, because it just feels like the Doctor randomly turns up at Unit in the actual season 1, just because he's now wants to find out who Ruby's mum is, or who Susan Twist is. It's a bit weird how he just randomly turns up there without any build-up. But in this way, it would make at least some build-up and some sense why he goes to Unit. Also, Ruby says in The Devil's Chord that she's been travelling with the Doctor for 6 months, as she says that she is from July 2024. And that doesn't make any sense, because, of course, The Devil's Chord in the original series, well, in the original season, is episode 2. But episode 1 took place in December 2023, as seen at the end of that episode when it's still Christmas Eve. And so that doesn't make any sense, because in the space of 1 episode, we've missed 6 months of their adventures, and the situation only gets weirder when the next episode in the actual series, in the actual season, is Boom, which has Ruby visiting her first alien planet. So that makes no sense. It would make a lot more sense if The Devil's Chord was like episode 7 in season 1, which is like what I'm proposing, instead of it actually being just like at the start of the season. And then, of course, the season would end with the original 2-part finale, The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. And I think The Legend of Ruby Sunday is a pretty good episode. It sets up everything pretty perfectly. However, Empire of Death does not deliver on those promises. It is a bit underwhelming, and I don't think I'm on my own of this. I think Empire of Death really needs to find a more satisfying way to defeat Sutekh, the god of death, because Sutekh, he still needs to be threatening, and the way the Doctor defeats him makes him not threatening. And, like, just a random thing thrown out here, maybe the Sutekh in Empire of Death was not the real Sutekh, and, like, the real Sutekh was puppeteering this fake Sutekh from the start, and the Doctor manages to stop the real Sutekh from coming into the real world because this fake Sutekh was a harbinger of the real Sutekh, trying to bring him into the real world. But now the Doctor has defeated this fake Sutekh, the real Sutekh is still trapped. Like, just a theory on how it could be better. Again, I don't know if that's any good or not. Let me know down in the comments below if you think that's a good idea or not. But Empire of Death does need to be more satisfying. But of course, Empire of Death does definitely need to be the final episode in Season 1. And really, that is how I think it should go. So, again, just to go through it, Church on Ruby Road as the Christmas special, Space Babies as the first episode, Boom as the second episode, Dot and Bubble as the third episode, Rogue as the fifth episode, 73 Yards as the sixth episode, Devil's Chord as the seventh episode, Legend of Ruby Sunday as the 8th episode, and Empire of Death as the 9th episode. So that's how I think the actual episode order should have gone to make the series more cohesive and a bit better. But that is just my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this new episode order. Do you like this new episode order? Do you prefer the original one? And also, do you like some of the little changes I made just to, I think, would have made the season a bit better and made it a really good season? Let me know down in the comments below. And also, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, also subscribe, and share it out. And I will see you in the next one.